For this video, we're looking at solving a linear inequality. So we've got 4 minus 2/3 d is greater than or equal to 5/6 d subtract 5. Once again, we'll notice that we've got fractions, and lots of people don't like dealing with those. So the first thing we can do is get rid of the fractions. You don't have to do this step if you're comfortable sort of manipulating the fractions. That's fine. You can do it with the fractions in there. But sometimes we make fewer mistakes when we're dealing more with integers. So I'm going to look at my denominators. So I've got 3 and I've got 6. If I want a common denominator, that would be 6, because 6 is both a multiple of 6 and 3. That means I need to multiply both sides of the inequality by 6. Now you'll notice I've added brackets here. That's because the 6 needs to be multiplied both by the 2/3 d and by the 4 on the left side, and needs to go by the 5/6 d and the -5 on the right side. The reason being is even though it's an inequality, we want it to still stay balanced. Now it's an inequality, so it's not balanced quite the same that an equation is, but we still follow the same rules as when we're solving equations, because we don't want to change one side and make the inequality suddenly not true. So on the left hand side, I've got 6 times 4 and 6 times -2/3 d, which is going to be 24, and then if I go 6 times 2 is 12, divided by 3 is 4. On the right side, I've got 6 times 5/6, which would just be 5, and 6 times -5, which is going to give me -30. Now I'm looking at my inequality, and I notice that I have variables on both sides of the inequality. Again, that makes it harder for me to solve, so what I want to do right now is get all of the variables on one side. So I could either add 4d to both sides or subtract 5d from both sides. Because I want to end up with a positive, I'm going to add 4d to both sides. But you can do it either way. Now I've got 24 is greater than or equal to 9d minus 30. And now this should look familiar. It's time where we would use a flowchart. So on the right hand side there, I've got d, I've got 9, and I've got -30. That's 3 things, so I'm going to need 3 boxes going up. And then of course 3 boxes going down. As always, I start with my d, and then I want to look and see what's the first thing that happens to d. Well, I've got 9 directly in front of the d, and when 9 is directly in front of the variable like that, it means I'm multiplying by 9. After the 9d, I've got subtract 30, so my next step is subtracting 30. Now I check, I've got 9d minus 30, and that matches one entire side of my inequality, so I'm good to stop going up and move to the other side of the inequality, where I've got 24. And don't forget to include the inequality symbol. Remember, on the way down, we do the opposite of whatever we did on the way up. So on the way up, we subtracted 30, so on the way down, we're going to add 30. You'll notice that the inequality symbol didn't change because adding and subtracting never changes the inequality symbol. Next, on the way up, we multiplied by 9, so we need to divide by 9. And since we're dividing by a positive number, our inequality symbol is again not going to change. The only time that we switch the direction of our inequality symbol is when we divide or multiply by a negative number. So if we do 54 divided by 9, we get 6. So we have 6 is greater than or equal to d. So our last step is going to be graphing that, which we do on a number line. I've started by putting a circle at 6, and then I want to decide should I fill in or not fill in the circle. So I'm looking at the inequality symbol. It says 6 is greater than or equal to d. So that means that or equal to, the little line underneath, means I should shade in the circle. Now I need to decide which direction the arrow is pointing. This can be a little bit confusing where we've got the number first and the variable second, because a lot of times in our questions it's the other way around. Regardless, of which is first, the number or the variable, what you want to look at is the variable and whether it's on the side, the wider side of the inequality or the little pointy side. So in this, the D is on the little pointy side of the inequality, right? The little, like, it's sort of pointing at the D. So that means D is less than 6, okay? So it's written 6 is greater than D, or 6 is greater than or equal to D, which is the same thing as saying D is less than or equal to 6. So how you can remember it is, since D is on the little side of the inequality, like the little shorter pointy side, we're pointing towards the little numbers. So we've got our arrow pointing off in the smaller direction.